I remember during the 2000s, I used to love watching Tiger Woods because I wanted to watch greatness. I wanted to watch that player that was going to be the closest to Jack Nicklaus that perhaps I was ever going to see, since I didn't get to see Jack Nicklaus during the peak and prime run of his career. This was my generation's Jack. This was going to be my generation's Golden Bear in Tiger Woods. He was going to be that guy. So I tuned in to watch him just dominate courses and dominate tournaments and dominate the field. But I would also tune in as well because I wanted to see somebody step up to the plate and challenge him, and somebody take him head on, somebody be able to beat him. So on the one hand, I wanted to see him because of what he could do from a pure greatness standpoint, but I also tuned in to see him get beat, frankly. But now I sit here in 2015, and I'm watching the first two rounds of the U.S. Open, and I got to the point now where I'm ambivalent almost towards Tiger Woods, and I don't want to see him. And it just really makes me wonder what happened to Tiger Woods and why does he suck so bad now? I mean, because really, I look at a guy that during the 2000s, in terms of as a player, there were things to respect and admire, but there were plenty of things to not like about him as well in terms of the way he conducted himself sometimes on and off the course. He was a kind of polarizing golf figure in many ways. But now I look at him, and he's kind of become a sympathetic, borderline pathetic figure. It's stunning to me to see this have happened. And it just makes me wonder what the hell happened. I think I've got some ideas, and I'm going to share them with you now. But man, watching Tiger Woods now is sad. And it really makes me not want to see him anymore and not want to watch him, because I think about what he used to be, and I also think about now what he thinks he still can be versus the reality of what modern day, almost 40-year-old Tiger actually is. First and foremost, after that 2008 U.S. Open where he played on the fucked up knee and then he had to go get the ACL surgery and everything, then later on, the next year you had all the revelations of what was going on with him off the course. Maybe it's time for Tiger Woods to start hopping back on the sex addict train. I don't know. Maybe this dude needs to sit there and just be plopping his seed all over the place with all different types of women. Because fuck knows if that was part of his formula for success in the 2000s, if he stopped doing it, maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Maybe Tiger Woods just needs to get laid and get laid a lot. I don't know. But maybe it's part of the whole thing, too, of his marriage, because of his own doing, ended up falling apart. And maybe that's something that has distracted him. And in some ways, he lost an element of isolation that he had. He lost that ability to compartmentalize, and understandably so, because of situations that he brought upon himself because of his own greedy, selfish actions. That started to mingle into affecting his on-the-course play, and he was no longer able to separate real-life Tiger Eldrick Woods from on-the-course Tiger Woods. And, maybe that's a big part of it. Because, there's got to be something to it. But I think it's more than that. I think part of it is, too, when Tiger Woods came on the scene in the mid-90s, you knew from the jump that this guy had it, that this guy was going to be the man. But part of the reason was because he was so much different than everybody else. And we're not talking about from a look standpoint in terms of his skin color. We're talking about the way he conditioned himself as the athlete, the way he actually treated himself as an athlete. You could think back throughout the early days of golf into the 80s and even early and mid-90s. So many of these golfers really didn't take care of their body. They really weren't athletes from an athletic standpoint. They were just great golfers. But Tiger Woods would lift weights. He would do cardio. He would do so many different types of things, flexibility exercises, all of that. So he would come onto the course, and not only would he have better skill and better will, but his conditioning would be so much superior to anybody else on the course that he instantly had an immediate big-time advantage. Well, now you look at it, and almost 40-year-old Tiger Woods, with some of the injuries that he's had, he changed the game in one way, that a lot of these guys now hit the gym, they lift weights, they do cardio, they do flexibility exercises, they focus on core strength. So Tiger Woods doesn't have that physical advantage anymore with some of the injuries, his age, combined to all these other young players that have come on the scene that have kind of mimicked Tiger in doing that. One of the biggest advantages he used to have, he no longer has. Sure, you occasionally get that bowl full of jelly, that's a golfer, but a lot of these guys are in much better shape than they once were. Another big component, I think, to what's happened to Tiger Woods is that the game of golf has caught up with Tiger Woods as he's fallen back to the field a little bit. And furthermore, so often Tiger Woods would sit there and go to a course and be so much stronger and longer than anybody else. Anybody else. Anybody worth a while anyways. He would instantly have a 20, 30, if not 40-yard advantage off the tee, meaning that he was hitting 9-iron pitching wedge into a hole when a lot of people were hitting 6 and 7 irons. And any of you that play golf know you'd rather be hitting a 9-iron or pitching wedge into the hole as opposed to a 6 or 7 iron. It's easier to control your distances. It's easier to get more spin on the ball. It's just a much more accurate shot. And Tiger Woods would consistently have this advantage. Well, now you look at the modern game, you got guys like Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy and Jason Day and so on and so forth. Most all of these guys are long off the tee. They're just as long as Tiger. In the cases of some guys like Dustin Johnson, they're longer off the tee. So Tiger Woods no longer has that competitive advantage in terms of being so much longer and stronger than anybody else, combined with the fact that over the course of time, these courses were redesigned and new courses were built with this longer, stronger generation of golfer in mind. So again, where Tiger Woods was playing on courses designed with the 60s and 70s and 80s players in mind in the 90s and 2000s and ripping up shit and dominating, now he's playing on golf courses designed for the 21st century golfer. He's lost some of that physical advantage. He's lost that length advantage off of the tee. It's a big factor and contributing role into why Tiger Woods isn't that same type of dominant player. But it goes more than just that. There's also a big-time mental part of this. You know, the one thing about Tiger Woods was oftentimes he would win a tournament as soon as he showed up. You would feel a lot of times in the 2000s especially that if you were given the option of either taking Tiger Woods or the field, you would take Tiger Woods and you felt better about your chances with that one player, especially at a major, than you would the entire rest of the field. I mean, that's how dominant this guy was at one point in time. That's how ridiculous it used to be with Tiger Woods. You would take Tiger Woods over the field and feel better about this, taking one guy, than the entire freaking field, where the odds in theory should be much, much greater. The point being is he had such a great cerebral advantage over so many of these guys, and so often he had them mentally beat before they ever really stepped on the course and hit a shot, before they even teed off on the first tee on a Thursday. You know, because Tiger Woods was never like a Jack where he could sit there and make these big dramatic comebacks in the final round of a major. Jack could do that. Tiger couldn't. Tiger's whole thing was about mentally and physically dominating from the very beginning and beating you into submission and accepting your fate. Well, now the problem is it's been 7 years since he last won a major, that 2008 U.S. Open. You know, you're going that far back, you know, when he won that 18-hole playoff against Rocco Mediate. 7 years now. And in that time, you have these guys that come on the scene like a Jordan Spieth, a Rory McIlroy, the so on and so forth. A lot of these guys never played with Tiger Woods when Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods. So as a result, it's unfamiliar to them. They don't really know it. They remember it to a certain degree, but they haven't experienced it themselves. So Tiger Woods has lost another huge advantage because he no longer has that ability to mentally impose his will upon the entire field and dominate and win before anybody's even teed off. And now you've got these players thinking that they can beat Tiger Woods. They know they can beat Tiger Woods. And the problem also is that Tiger Woods ultimately knows that these kids can beat Tiger Woods and they're going to beat Tiger Woods. And golf very much is a mental sport. When you get to that level, the skills are very similar. There's not much that differentiates player number 1 from player number 100, and that's the truth of the matter. Oftentimes, it's about the small things. It's the ability to putt. It's the ability to make the right decisions at the right times. But so often, it's about that belief in oneself and that mental capacity or those mental capabilities, an area that Tiger Woods dominated for so long, and he just no longer can. And the biggest problem of all with Tiger Woods, and the biggest reason why he's become such a sad figure and why he frankly sucks as much as he does now, is because he's lost it from a mental standpoint in terms of the game. And the biggest contributing factor to that is Tiger Woods' incessant, never-ending work on his game and on his swing. Anybody that plays golf knows that when it comes to hitting a good golf shot, you've got to see the shot, you've got to be the shot, and then you've got to hit the shot. The more you're thinking about it, The more you're thinking about it, especially during your swing, you're thinking about the different elements of your swing, the takeaway, your position at the top, and whether or not you're going past parallel, or your hands catching up with your hips, all these different things, ball positioning, head positioning, spine angle, all of that. The point of the matter is, though, the more you're thinking about that, the more it comes into play with golf that it's paralysis by analysis. And I can speak to that from my own references. Back when I was 17, 18 years old, when I wouldn't think about my swing, I would just swing. I used to go way past parallel with my driver, similar to, like, let's say, a John Daly. And there'd be plenty of times where I didn't know where the ball was going, but I could consistently, with inferior equipment on, B-level public courses, drive the ball 280, 290, 300 yards. It was consistent. I had length, I had strength, and all of that good stuff. Generated tremendous club head speed. But as I wanted to try and get more accurate, I started to tinker with my swing more, tried to change my swing more, and even now at 34 years of age, I'm happy when I can hit the ball 265, 270. And I really didn't improve my accuracy all that much. Part of the problem is I started overthinking my swing and overanalyzing things, and I started to lose that feel, that instinct for things. And now I'm trying to become very robotic and very machine-like. And when I watch Tiger Woods' swing and his game in general, I see somebody that is ending up in a situation where it's paralysis by analysis. He's overthinking it. He's thinking too much during his swing. Instead of just being that guy and executing time after time after time based off a feel of instincts and muscle memory, he's constantly trying to sit there and change, in part because he's getting frustrated when he sees himself not getting to the level of where he was a decade ago and thinking he can still be that guy. Well, newsflash, Eldrick, you're 39 now. You'll be 40 in December. You're never going to be that guy again. Never. It's not going to happen. You could still be a great player. In theory, you could still be the #1 player in the world. You could still win some majors. But based off of the way you're going at this point, it's not happening. At this point in time, Tiger Woods is never winning another major because every time you turn around, he's trying to change something with this freaking swing. And all the while, I sit there now, I see a 39-year-old Tiger in 2015. I'm watching him again at the U.S. Open. I see a guy whose head position is way too low on both the backswing and the follow-through. I see a guy whose spine angle is horrendous. His ball positioning, especially off the tee, is terrible. His hands aren't catching up with his lower body, and it's just bad. And all the while, he's convincing himself that this is working and that he's getting better. No, you're not. Whoever you've got working with you on your swing needs to go away. They need to stop helping you because all they're doing is hindering you. All they're doing is hurting you. I understand that maybe from a physical standpoint, you can't do some of the things you could do with your golf swing 7 or 8 years ago, and that was always going to be part of the problem with Tiger Woods based off of the way he swung the ball and how hard he swung the golf club and the position they put his body in through his swing time after time, year after year, that there were going to be some concerns long-term about his ability to hold up, as compared to what a Jack was able to do, winning 2 majors in 1980 at the age of 40 and then still being able to win the Masters in 86. And even when I think back to him contending at the 98 Masters in his late 50s. Tiger Woods wasn't necessarily going to be that guy. But he could still be a really good player. But whatever he's doing right now, whatever he's convinced himself is working on his game and improving his game, isn't. Like, I go back to the Masters. He got on a familiar course, a course that's always set up for him well. He had that confidence of knowing that he could be successful at the Masters, and he played somewhat well. But there were still so many problems with his game. At this point in time, Tiger needs to stop thinking about hitting driver all the time, go back to the club that made him a champion so many times, and that was his 3-wood, his ability to hit that low stinger, his ability to move the ball with that 3-wood, yet still keep it in the fairway, keep it in play. I mean, he's a guy that still at times hits some really good iron shots, but I'm sitting there watching this guy topping balls and fucking doing all types of ridiculous crap. He's just all over the place, and the simple reason is because he's overthinking shit. Tiger Woods needs to stop thinking and just start swinging. He needs to stop trying to fix everything and realize it's broken and just try to go back to what he did before as much as he can when he was successful, not overthink it too much, and just swing away. You're going to hit bad shots, but you can still hit a lot of good shots. At this age, adjust and focus even more on your short game. Make yourself the best putter you could possibly be. Make your game from 100 yards and in one of the best in the world to compensate for some of the problems you have in other areas. It's just really sad. But above all else, again, the single biggest reason that Tiger Woods sucks so bad now is because the guy just thinks too much. He's overthinking everything. And the only thing he needs to think about is how badly all the shit he's doing to his swing isn't fucking working. Cut it out, Tiger. Just cut it out. Go back to the drawing board and realize that you just need to play. Stop thinking that all this work you're doing is working, because clearly, based off of the results again at another major, they're clearly not.